All right, looks like it's started. Scrolling through and seeing all my friends. Hey guys. So unlike on my computer, I have to use my phone tonight because I was in New York City last weekend doing a Diamond Bound mini since the last time we did a Zoom call for all my New York friends. I know some of them are on this call tonight. Hi, friends that are on the call tonight from New York. And I left my cell phone charger there like a real dummy. And so I haven't had, or not my cell phone charger, my laptop charger. So I have not been able to charge my laptop all week. So I'm doing this Zoom call from my phone, which is fine. It's just a little less functional. So we are recording, and I will do my best to be able to follow along in the comments and whatnot. But I just want to make sure that that we've got the recorded part. So also, you should be muted. If you're not muted, please mute yourself. If you're on a phone, scroll to the left. If you're on your computer, usually there's an icon in the bottom left corner that that will allow you to unmute yourself. So we're going to jump right in. We have 1 hour. I did start just a minute or two late tonight, trying to kind of get my my phone to work with this program, and so it worked. So praise the Lord. Okay, Jordan Strand here, your Royal Crown Diamond upline in Young Living. I know a lot of you on here I've never met before. I hope that I will get to meet you at some point. I don't know if you'll be coming to convention, or if you're local and get to any of our local events, or if you'll be coming to Diamond Bound event, or any of the other smaller events that we have going on around the country. I hope to meet you at some point, because this team is so much more connected whenever we actually get to see each other face to face. So hopefully that will happen at some point. Real quick, just kind of a check-in. Raise your hand, or raise your hand in the group setting, or wave or something at me if you were on last week and you were able to learn, or you've watched the replay, which I posted a few days ago, and you were able to kind of dig into time blocking. Anyone? I'm going to scroll comments and see. I see a few hands raised. Good. Awesome. Okay. So for those of us who were not on last week, I'm going to give you a 30-second recap so that you're not completely oblivious to that. If we do talk about it, these Zoom calls will stand alone. So do not feel like you have to be in them in succession in order to be able to follow along or anything like that. You do not. Each of these, we will have separate content that's relevant to you tomorrow, today, that does not require any prerequisite to be involved in. But I do want to make sure that you understand it, just because it's a good concept, and I hope that you will apply it in your business and in your life, in your home. Time blocking is essentially recognizing that we have, I think we did the math that it was like 168 or something like that hours in the week, something around that ballpark. And that's 24 hours a day times 7 days. And in that time, we all have the same hours. And so how is it that some people get a lot accomplished in that time frame, and some people don't feel like that in that season they got accomplished all that they wanted to get accomplished? And usually it's because the people that get a lot accomplished do one of two things. Either they ignore all else and just do what they're trying to get accomplished, which doesn't really work and it's not sustainable. And I say it doesn't really work because it's not really a win-win. It's usually a win-loss, meaning you might win the accomplishment, but you might lose a lot of other areas and things that you also care about. The other option is to time block. And time blocking is basically where you say, okay, if I've got these 168, that might not be the right math, but let's say I have 168 hours. I'm sleeping 8 hours a night because sleep is important, because health is important, and sleep is important to health. I have X amount of time, hours that I'm doing, children or spouse or date night or church on Sunday morning or, work or obligations from this point to this point each day, and getting in those things that have to be there that are non-negotiable for you. And then looking at where are the gaps. So on Sunday afternoon, is that a time that I could fill with something else that is important to me? Maybe on Sunday afternoon is your date night instead of like going out on a Thursday, or whatever it is that, if it's still in line with your value system, that you might want to fill into that gap of time. Same thing for Monday morning, or maybe you have a few hours Monday afternoon, or Thursday, from 7 to 9 p.m. are like wide open for you. So you're looking for those gaps of time that normally when we don't have something to do, we often fill with things like turning on Netflix or scrolling on Instagram or whatever those things may be. We find those little things and we kind of fill them in. And the idea of time blocking is really for us to two things. One, become aware of the time that we are given and understand it and understand how we're using it currently, and to really realize how much time we have. There's quite a lot of time in a week. There's a lot of hours. And the second element of it is to really be intentional about how we're filling those hours, and to find space for the things that we are prioritizing in this season. And so, hey, you need some paper? Okay, be quick because I'm on the video and you cannot stay. And so in that season, if you guys saw my last ER opening video, you'll understand why I made that comment. So essentially, thank you. I love you. I'll be up in a few minutes. Essentially, it is saying, okay, I know what's priority to me in this season. I have non-negotiables, and then I have my Young Living business. And so I'm going to find space that are blocks of time that I'm not already prior committed to one of my non-negotiable items. And I'm going to fill that space with working on my Young Living business. And so the reason we started there last week is because I can talk to you for 17 hours, probably straight, without coming up for oxygen, about enrolling people. And I'm only going to do like 40 minutes tonight. Don't worry. I won't go for 17 hours. But that doesn't do you any lick of good if you are like, I don't really know how to fit this into my life. I mean, I want to do that, but like when and how and where, and just like making sense of your time is the foundational element. It is so foundational because it's a required resource, and it's the only required resource to do this business. You do not have to have any books. You do not have to have any money. You do not have to have any spaces. You do not have to have any certain size of home or living room. You do not have to have anything on display. You do not have to have any notebooks, any date books, anything. The only required resource for this business is your time, period. And that would equate to your energy. Okay, those are one and the same in this context, okay? That's why we started with time. That was obviously longer than a 1-minute explanation, but somebody needed to hear that tonight. So let's jump in. We are going to talk about enrolling in the month of May. April was a great month, you guys. Lots of people ranked up. It felt good. I felt just getting in there with my team, in spaces of my team, and getting in and kind of digging in with individual people and small segments and whatnot. I feel like, and you guys see if you feel this way too, I feel like there's a bubbling under the surface, and that people are starting to feel like gearing up again. And I don't know if you guys feel that way, but I certainly feel like a lot of people are kind of like, I think this weekend maybe is the Kentucky Derby. Am I right? Is it this weekend? Anybody that's from, the South or something, wherever you watch horse races? I think it's this weekend. And do you know those horses when they are behind that gate, do you know what they're doing? They are like pounding that ground, and they're like, get this gate open. I am ready to run. Let's make this happen. Like, come on, just wait, just open that gate and I'm going to go. And that is so what indicative and a good explanation of what I feel like is going on under the surface right now with a lot of people. Do you guys sense that too? Where in your spirit, in your heart, where you're just like, just open up that gate and let's go. Like, I want to do this. Now, I feel that way, but in a different way than I've ever felt it before in building my Young Living team. And let me explain. I don't want to ever build my business the way that I built it before. And the reason why is because there's two ways that you can do the business. One of them is you can forsake pretty much everything else and do your thing in that season, and do it, but it's not really a win-win. It's a win-loss. You win in the one area that you did and you lost in everything else. I'm only interested in doing my business from here on out as a win-win, where everyone wins. My kids win, my health wins, my marriage wins, my garden wins, the other priorities and hobbies I have win. My identity outside of Young Living wins, my faith wins, like everything wins. And that what that means is two things. One, I'm going to have to get really good at time blocking, and so are you, if you're going to have win-wins. And two is that I have to be okay and consciously choose that if I don't have 10 new diamonds by the end of the year, am I okay with that? If there's not 10 people in this team that rank up to diamond by the end of the year, am I okay with that as far as what my investment can be into making that happen? Now, that we could have 10 diamonds that if I wasn't even building at all because of just natural growth and other people running with the business. But as far as I am concerned, as far as me stepping in and saying, let me like come in and inspire and coach and train and lead and empower and all those things. And so as far as that goes, where I am and where I hope that you are, because I think that starting with time blocking, it has set the pace for us and set the tone for us to say, in this season of my life, I want win-wins. And to be honest, if somebody wants coaching that's going to not be win-win, you're probably going to need to get Thursday night Zoom calls from someone else, because I'm probably not going to be able to do that for you. I certainly am not going to be able to do that for you, because here's why. I know how to build like that. I know how to forsake all else. I know that intimately. And it's kind of like the only way that I've ever known how to do anything successfully. And that is like when I was in high school, and I wanted to win in a race, I would wake up at 5 a.m. and I would go run as hard as I could with no coach. And then I would go to practice after school and I would set the pace of that whole track team. And then after the track team meeting, I would go and do an ab workout with the football team. And then after that, I would go home, do my homework, eat dinner, and then I would go out for like a 4 or 5 mile run, which is why I ran a 5-minute mile and I had no friends. I had no friends. Was that a win? Yes. Did I run a 5-minute mile? Yes. Did I win almost every single race I competed in? Yes. Was it a win-win for life? No. It's really stretching me tremendously as a leader and as a person to step back in with a little bit of PTSD, if I'm honest, into coaching my Young Living team in a way that is a win-win for my family and for your family, for my health and for your health. But I believe that it's possible. And I believe that in our diligence, not just diligence in the hustle, but diligence in life that make the hustle that much more effective, I believe that we're going to see people rank up to diamond. And I believe we're going to see people rank up to silver. And I know there's people sitting on this call that are like, girl, I just want to hit senior star. I just like, listen, I just want my ninja paid for. I want my red juice free. Okay. I believe you can do that. And I would not waste your time or mine if I did not believe that every single person on this call right now did not have the potential and the capacity within you to reach the goal that you have. Period. Nothing else added to that. Nothing else is needed from that. Like, we all have that in us because you were made. You were not just created as or just happened. You were made and designed. And you are uniquely you and special and valuable to this world. And you becoming the best version of yourself does not just mean becoming a Royal Crown Diamond, and maybe not even mean that at all. And maybe Young Living being interwoven into your life isn't just so that you can be a Royal Crown Diamond, but maybe it's a part of a larger fabric, of a larger picture, of a larger purpose that we're all fulfilling in our lives that does not look the same person to person. And I want to encourage you that I promise to bring my best at minimum on Thursday nights. But you need to bring your best too. Because when we're diligent, that means that we're diligent in everything. We're diligent when we're cleaning our kitchen. And we're diligent when we're listening to our kids talk about their day. And we're diligent when we show up at 8 o'clock on a Thursday night. And I'm going to bring all I have to you. And I want you to bring all that you have to your business. You don't owe me anything, but I want you to bring it to your business and to the people's lives that you're going to impact with your unique story, in your unique communities, in your unique influence that God's given you. And with that, I want to jump into the element of what we're going to talk about for the next 40 minutes. I will try to cut it a couple of minutes short and take some questions, in which at that time you can unmute and ask questions if you have them. But with every passing day, week, month, and year of my life, things like that we just talked about are becoming so much more rich and apparent, and I cannot show up to you anything but 100% authentic to where I am and who I am. That is something you will 100% always get from me. Always. And yeah, it's good. There is a way to do this and to do it good. And I chose that word instead of well. There's a way to do it good. And that's what I'm going for. That's what I'm going for. And that's what I'm going for you too. All right. Now let me get off of my sappy soapbox and let's jump into some good content. Okay. A couple of things as it relates to enrolling. And that is this. First of all, if you're new and this is your first Zoom call with us, I promise I'm not crazy. I can't guarantee that actually, but I have been building this business for 6.5 years and going on 7 years. Is that right? Yeah, 2012. So is when I first enrolled. So in this fall will be 7 years of using essential oils. So about 6.5 years of building. And in that time frame, lots and lots and lots of things have happened. But there's one thing that's happened completely consistently over and over and over again. It is what initiated the start of my business. It is what initiates new growth and change in my business. It is what gets me excited about my business on a new consistent basis. And that is this thing, getting people enrolled. It's actually the most simple, basic, foundational, and required piece of our business. And yet it's just doing that and getting it started that sometimes is the hardest thing for us, that we're like, yeah, give me a group of 100 people any day and all like that are already bought in and already, you know, bought their starter kit, and I'll talk to them all day and night about Ninja Red, Thieves Line, and Seedlings, you know. But sometimes getting ourselves out there, sharing our stories, asking someone to sign up under us, some of those things are like the hardest things that we do. And so I want to talk you through that, because number one, I want to tell you that it's not as hard as your brain wants it to seem. And number two, whether you've never enrolled anybody or you've been enrolling people like me for 6.5 years, these things are still important for us to understand and consider, because no two people are the same. And so no two prospects that we come across are the same person. It's not going to be the same environment. It's not going to be the same circumstances. We're not going to share the same way. We're going to have new stories as we go from season to season. We're going to have new products as Young Living keeps launching them. So it's kind of an ever-changing dynamic. But here's something that you need to know. Here's the foundational pieces of enrolling someone. Okay. And I'm going to zoom way out and oversimplify this for those of you who are early on. And P.S., those of you who are not early on, take note, because someone in your business is early on. Okay. And that is this. There are 3 parts of the enrollment process. Okay. You enrolling someone. There's you, which includes your story, which includes your enrollment number, which includes your Young Living membership, everything that relates to you. There's you. There's another person that you would like to enroll who is not currently a Young Living member, because they're off limits if they're already a member. And then there is essentially the connection, or the audience, or the relationship between you. Okay. Now, as simplified as that seems, that is the 3 elements of enrolling someone. And the reason why I simplify that down so much is this: you're not selling products out of your trunk. You are not required to create these massive audiences of, 20-person classes in order to succeed in this business. You do not have to create an Instagram account with 100,000 followers. You don't have to launch a website or a team page or create t-shirts or even business cards if you don't want to. None of those things are required for enrollment. What's required to enroll someone is that you are a Young Living member, you have someone in your life that's not a Young Living member, and some way, shape, or form, the 2 of you come together and you get audience with that person. Okay. And so the reason why I'm simplifying it to that degree is that it's literally that simple. And we overcomplicate the enrollment process so tremendously that we stop ourselves from growing the Young Living business, because we feel like it's so complicated, and we feel like, we're going to have to jump through all these hoops, and we're going to have to host these huge events, and we're going to have to, oh, here's a scary one. We're going to have to get asked questions that we don't know the answer to. Right? Oh, somebody just give me an amen, because I know that some people are like, I know, I'm scared. Somebody's going to ask me that question, right? They're going to say like, hey, tell me exactly what the chemical constituents of peppermint oil are, or I'm not signing up with you. Guess what? not your wheelhouse. Don't even want that kind of energy on your team. Move on. Okay? Don't stress out about those kinds of things. I'm telling you this to tell you that if you gain audience with someone, whether you are standing in the Walmart parking lot and they're listening to you talk, whether you are doing a Facebook Live, whether you are sitting one-on-one with a old friend at a coffee shop, whether you are inviting a couple girlfriends to your house to do a basic 101 class, or a Facebook event that you're inviting people over, or a call-in on freeconferencecall.com, or a Zoom like we're doing now, or a FaceTime with a couple of friends from overseas, or whatever the scenario is, the only three elements that have to be there is you, them, and your audience, your connection with them, some way where they can hear what you have to say. Nothing else is required. And the reason that I'm stressing this so much is this: what you can control in that is two things. You can control your side, which is the story, using the products, learning the products, experiencing them, having something to say about, what is this, Super C chewable, having something to say about it. Because why? Because if I feel like my twins or little ones or anyone that can't swallow a pill in my house are starting to go under the weather and get a little sick or a little feverish or anything, which I wouldn't say that on social media, but I would in person, I'm going to give them a Super C chewable. Do you know why? Because it's like an emergency, you know, those emergency packets. You remember those, you guys? It's like that, except for it's actual real vitamin C extract. It's not like the synthetic vitamin C. So they're getting this massive dosage of vitamin C to boost their immune system without all of the like other synthetic stuff. Okay. And if I'm telling a mom this, I'm not going to be quite so like technical necessarily, but I am going to say, oh my gosh, like, yes, I absolutely love this like Super C, and I'm handing it to my kid at a park because we're with a bunch of kids, and the mom's like, hey, what is that? Guess what? Do you know what happened right there? Hey, what is that? What happened is that I'm there, she's there, I gained audience with her. I am talking to her. I'm talking, she's listening. And I share my story. The part of that I can control is using the products, developing stories about the products, learning about them, doing anything that I can to better understand them, reading the pocket reference, reading books like Gentle Babies, reading things like Healing Oils of the Bible, which talk about the history and a little bit of the science of essential oils, reading things like Chemistry of Essential Oils Made Simple, reading anything put out by Dr. Lindsay Elmore or Dr. Mike Buke, or watching videos, or going to Young Living Training and Education page, or whatever the case may be. I never had any of those resources and taught classes that people would say, my goodness, where did you learn all this information? And you know how I learned the information? Because I used the oils and I read the desk reference all the time. So I was learning their uses, and I was also talking to friends and family about how they were using them. And so there's one side of it that you can control, is you knowing what you can about this company, about these products. I'm going to shut the door. Hold on just a second. So there's one side. The second thing that you can control for the most part, as far as you have some control over it, and that is the part where you gain audience with people, where you get together with them, where you create an opportunity to have an environment where you can talk about Young Living. What I mean is go schedule play dates, go join a swimming class at the YMCA, go, meet up with someone for coffee, host a class, host Facebook, host a call-in, host a Zoom call, host something, or get together with people, or intentionally reach out to people on Facebook, or you fill in the blank. Anything can be the connection. It can be a list of ways that you introduce someone to Young Living, and some of them It may be that you end up having multiple play dates with this group of moms in your community before you really even are there to gain audience about Young Living. Or it might be a slow introduction. Maybe one week you give your kids Super C, and the next week you are, someone falls down and you put lavender on your kid's knee. And over time with that audience, they're starting to ask questions, and what is this situation? Oh, is that Young Living? Yeah, I've kind of heard of that. Is that like that essential oil thing? You're gaining audience, and not even necessarily always having to do it in a formal, organized class type of setting, because that's not required to enroll. None of that is required. None of the formalized gathering is an actual requirement for enrolling. What's a requirement for enrolling is you, a person, and an opportunity where your time overlaps that you gain audience with them. That's it. And so you have control over two sides of that. You've got control over you and over the opportunity to get around people so that you can start talking to them. The part that you don't have control over is what this person does with it. And that right there is what keeps us from trying. It's what keeps us from putting ourselves out there and asking. It's what keeps us from sharing our stories. It's what keeps us from hosting, because the fear that we have over here of what this person over here is going to do makes us sometimes just stop ourselves before we even start, because we're afraid of what's going to happen with this person over here. We're afraid they're going to reject us. We're afraid they're going to think differently about us. We're afraid we're going to put them in an uncomfortable setting where they are, asked to do something that they don't want to do, or they're going to think that I'm trying to sell them, or they're going to think that I'm trying to, or sell them something. They're going to think that I'm trying to manipulate them. They're going to think I'm trying to make money off of them, or whatever the things are that we tell ourselves, which most of them are not true, or they're false perceptions. And so here's the deal though. There is no way around this model of you, a person, and some sort of overlapping of your time together. There isn't another model. In some capacity, the only way to grow this business is for you to get in front of people. And even if that's one person, even if that's just through Facebook Messenger or text or whatever, you have to have an overlap of time. And so the reason why I'm telling you that you can control two of those things is because I don't want you to not try because you feel out of control over what that person may or may not say, think, or do. Because you actually have a say in 2/3 of that, which is the majority of it. The unknown is what the other person's going to say or do, but guess what? That's not on you. What someone thinks of you is none of your business. What someone thinks of you is none of your business. You answer only to one person, and no, it's not your husband, even though you have to kind of answer to him too. You answer to one, and if you're not a Christian, then maybe you answer to nobody but yourself. But I answer to God, period, for me. And here's the thing. Here's what happened. Let me tell you a little quick story. I went to a marriage intensive this week. And by intensive, I mean like diamond bound for marriage, where you like literally sit and hear content about this thing called marriage for like 12 hours a day for 4 days. And it was hard. It was good. It was awful. It was amazing. It was crying and laughing and stress and anxieties being brought up and everything in between with my husband and I. And one afternoon we were on break. We were in a group setting, 5 couples, which part the anxiety rate. You're having to like be vulnerable and bawl your eyes out, like ugly face cry in front of 4 other couples who were also there, ugly face crying. And I was on break, and it was me, one of the therapists, and 2 of the wives. So it was 4 of us, and we were just casually sitting on the couches. And as I do every day around 3 o'clock, I pulled out a Ningxia Red packet, because I, at this point, do not have to drink Ningxia Red in front of people to enroll them, because I'm not necessarily even trying to enroll them, but I will drink my Ningxia Red and I don't care who's around. So I wasn't trying to enroll anybody or even share Young Living. I just was doing my normal routine. And one of them was like, what is that you're drinking? And I'm like, oh, it's Ningxia Red. It's just like kind of like an energy antioxidant drink. It makes me feel like I have energy and focus for the next 17 hours. No, next 3 or 4 hours that we're going to be in the room. And they were like, oh, really? Do you have any more? So I was like, sure, actually I do. I have, a whole box of 90 count right here in my purse. Just kidding. But yeah, I have a few extra. And so I gave them one, and one girl didn't want it. She was like, no thanks. I'm pretty sure she had heard of Young Living before, and she had a preconceived notion of what it was. And she also probably has been exposed to network marketing and did not want me to try to sell her on something. And so I was like, whatever, I don't care at all one way or the other. But the other two were like, oh yeah, I want to try it. Well, the other two PS are signing up this weekend, have already told me, please send me the information. I'm going to sign up as soon as we're done here. So that's great. But the other girl, a second time it got brought up later in the week about Young Living. They were like, how do we get this? And and then I let one of them borrow Rudavela. She came back the next day and was like, oh my gosh, I slept like a log. And I offered this other girl again, do you want a Ningxia? I'm going to give one to the other girls. I'm going to bring it back. And she was like, no. So here's the thing. If I was early in my business, that would have bothered me. I would have taken that personally. It would have felt like she was saying, I don't trust you. I don't trust your motives. I don't even know if I like you anymore. That's what it would have felt like 5-6 years ago. But it didn't feel like that this time. Why? Because I know now what I wish I would have known back then is that I only have control over 2/3 of this equation. And I own those, and I do my best. And I believe in what we do, and I believe in the products, and I believe in my stories, and I believe in everything like that Young Living stands for. I don't believe in sacrificing your entire life for the business. I don't believe in that, but Young Living doesn't stand for that. That's an individual thing. But what I believe in is that these products can benefit those 2 women that are going to sign up this weekend. And it's going to benefit their husbands. It's probably going to benefit their marriage, let's be honest, because that's what they were there for. And maybe they won't kill each other now. And it's going to benefit everything. And I am confident in my 2/3 of the enrollment equation. And then the other 1/3, which is how are they going to receive this? How are they going to think about it? What are they going to think about me? What are they going to think about network marketing? What are they going to think about world peace? Or whatever else I come up with that I'm scared about, right? That's going to be like, what's going to happen here? Anything else, it's not on me. It's not on me. What they think is not on me. What is on me is the side of the equation that I can control. And that is that I'm going to be the best darn product user that anyone has ever met. I am going to use every product. I'm going to try tons of different things. I'm going to be a product of the product. I'm going to live a chemical-free home or take steps towards it as best as I can, and try and put an effort forth, even if it's 1 product a month that I'm switching and ditching or whatever the case may be. I'm going to understand the full product line. If I don't know what to do, I will open up the desk reference and start reading about what these products can do, because if nothing else, I'm going to be inspired about the depth of knowledge that's been accumulated for thousands of years about the amazing power of these tools that we have sitting on our counter right here. I am going to do what I can do as far as it's up to me. I'm going to read books. I'm going to do personal development. I'm going to read everything that I can, and I'm going to grow, and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to sit on these Zoom calls, and I'm going to watch recorded videos from 3 years ago, and I'm going to understand as much as is up to me what I can. and I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to show up 100% when I'm working my business. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my best to create opportunities for the middle piece, which is to present Young Living to other people. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to be consistent in hosting things. I'm going to be consistent at filling my calendar with one-on-ones. I'm going to be consistent at reaching out to new contacts and trying to develop new contacts and new circles of friends. I'm going to be consistent at making sure that I am continually following up with old prospects and continuing to build those relationships. You better believe, you guys, that the girl who was like, you better believe that that girl who totally stiff-armed me this week about Ninja, and I don't even care, but who did, I got her number. She actually lives local, and she's highlighting my hair in 3 weeks because she's a hairstylist. And I was like, listen, girl, like, I got some major root action going on here, and I also pay way too much for my highlights. I'm coming to you because your hair looks awesome. So she's going to enroll at some point, unless she's heavily involved in another network marketing company, in which case it's fine. I'm totally cool being friends with nice people who are interested enough in their marriage to go through what I went through this week with me. And so one way or the other, I'm going to still create an opportunity to get audience with this girl. And if I have to go to her for 3 years and have her highlight my hair and just develop a friend that's a good hairstylist in the process, then so be it. But I'm going to continue to work to do what I can control. Hear me. What I can control is myself and my knowledge, my skills, my tools, my stories, and the opportunity to share with someone else. This can be a million different people. This could be the Chinese woman that I sat down with in Beijing, China at the largest Starbucks, no, Shanghai, China at the largest Starbucks in the world. And I sat down with her, and she was like so interested in Young Living and still yet has not signed up. Created an opportunity, traveled halfway around the world to create an opportunity. Same exact thing for the people that I sat with and opened a Ninja. And had I have been intentional about it, I probably would have been a lot more intentional, but I was so immersed in marriage this week, I was not thinking about my business. But the point is that I could have intentionally created an opportunity. Why? Because I know that Young Living is better for them than it is for me to sign them up. So I can do this. And what I mean is, the benefit that I have by enrolling someone pales in comparison to the benefit that they gain by bringing Young Living into their life. Therefore, I can, yeah, you're so funny, Sudie. Yes, it is the largest Starbucks in the world, actually, in Shanghai. Bigger than the one in Seattle. She was totally like making that comment. I love it. Yeah, but I am going to show up my best, and I'm going to do my best to create those opportunities. And then everyone else, it doesn't matter who it is, where the people are, what the person is, anything else is irrelevant, because this person, this side of the equation is going to be changed out multiple times a week, multiple times a day. And it's my job to stay this person, to be this person, to create these opportunities. And then this, because of simple math, some people will sign up. Not every person that you ever share Young Living with is going to tell you no. But because of sheer straight out statistics, I did not take a statistics class in college. My husband did. He said it was the hardest class he ever took in college. I didn't take stats because I don't particularly like stats, but I can tell you this. I know for a fact that the stats say that if you share with 10 people, statistically speaking, one of them will sign up. So if I do this and this 10 times a month, Statistically speaking, I could sign up one person a month. Do you think you can do that? Absolutely. The answer is a resounding yes, you can do that. If I, statistically speaking, do this and this with 100 people a month, then there's a good chance that I could sign up 10 of them. Now, it's not 100% guarantee, because obviously some of that has to do with how I show up. Some of it has to do with how I present the stories. But don't let that scare you. Do not let that scare you. Let that empower you to say, guess what? I can control this part. I can control this part. I can't control this part or any of the other 100, but I can control this part. Don't let that personal responsibility piece scare you out of trying, because no, you're not going to be as good at doing this as you will a year from now, but you'll be just as good at doing it if you don't ever start doing it and get better and refine your skills and refine your stories. And you know what, like, you guys, I remember really early on, when I was living in Harrisonville, when I was growing my business early on, it wasn't even a diamond yet, which was early in my business. And I had this homeschool group of moms that we were all getting together at the park. And I remember this so well. I was early in, I don't even know that I was heavily building yet, but like just kind of building. I feel like this was maybe before I was even really building, but it was like enough that I knew that you could sign people up, and I kind of wanted to do it, but I hadn't really fully committed to it. And I was like, okay, if I go to the park with all these moms, and I use my thieves spray on my kids' hands before we eat our lunch, maybe one of them will ask me about it. And I remember thinking that, and I was trying to do it in a way that was like not awkward. I didn't want to be like pushy, and I didn't want to be like manipulative about the situation. I wanted it to be real, but I did think about it. I was like, man, I would be so awesome if someone would just ask me, and maybe I could like figure out how to kind of do it like in the middle of the group. You know, and I was thinking through these things, because that's what our brain does, you know, when we're like looking for an opportunity. But I was like, oh, I can't be like, I'm not going to be weird about it, and I'm not going to be like overly anxious about it, and I'm not going to, you know, any of those things. I want to make sure that I'm really real. And I ended up kind of like using it. And I think one mom, I kind of said, hey, do you want me to put some on your kids' hands too? And kind of like, you know, and one of those girls ended up signing up, who's still in my team today. But the point is that I understand the apprehension about the opportunities of getting in front of people. I understand, because I remember thinking through, how am I going to do this in a way that doesn't seem really forced and doesn't seem really weird? But the key is just to do it, because number one, it was my authentic life. Okay. I wasn't staging this. I wasn't using thieves spray because I just was saving it to be around people, and the rest of the time we use Purell or something. I actually did do it. So I was real about it. But the other thing is that I was more nervous about how they would perceive me than I even was about just sharing. And look at that compared to this week. I didn't give a rip if they asked me or not. But I knew if they did, I would be prepared for the opportunity to share with them, because 6 years ago, I wasn't afraid to just try. That's my point. Is you might go, well, Jordan, this is an awful lot of personal responsibility. For those of you who are just tuning in, this is not going to make sense. So watch this video from the beginning. This is a lot of personal responsibility on my part. I'm not sure that I can do it. I'm not sure I have the skills like you do. Well, I don't have the skills like Marcella von Harding either, because Marcella von Harding is a Royal Crown Diamond who's been in the company since day one. She's been doing this for 25 years. You don't have the skills that your silver upline has, who's maybe been doing this for 2 years, or gold or platinum or whatever. And your next business builder doesn't have the skills that you have either. It's a journey and a process. So don't stop yourself before you even get started, because you're like, yeah, I'm out with the personal responsibility here because I understand that, but that freaks me out. Like, that means that they're going to probably tell me no because I don't know as much, or they're going to tell me no because, no, just don't say that. Just try and develop those basic skills and get started and jump in there and just try and gain audience with people, because you can control that part and you can control this. And now here's the last little piece that I want to tell you before I open it up for questions. And that's this. If you want to enroll a lot of people in May, this is a numbers game. Statistically speaking, you'll enroll 1 for every 10 that you share with. If you want to enroll 10 people this month, don't expect to share with 10 people this month. Now, there's a good chance that you could be really good at sharing your stories, and you might enroll more than 1 for every 10. You might be like, let's see, let me see if she's on here. Yes, Teresa. Teresa, hi. Yeah, I'm waving at you, girl. Teresa has done this awesome thing that she has shared, correct me if I'm wrong, Miss Teresa, Names Are Red packets with a lot of people, because she has an amazing Names Are Red testimony. Amazing. Like, it's awesome. Like, doctors confirm, numbers went down, like the legit testimony, right? So she's passionate about this product. But here's the thing. She may have shared with 40 people a Names Are Red packet in the month of April. I'm just totally hypothetical number. Not all 40 people enrolled, at least not immediately. But if she had only shared with 4, she may not have enrolled any of them. So here's the deal. If you want to enroll more people, then you have to get the audience piece in front of more people. You have to make this part right here more prevalent on your calendar. That is the only element of enrolling more people. You cannot say, I'm going to host a class on May 18th. That's my big focus for the whole month. And I want to enroll 10 people this month or 5 people this month. And I've got a solid 18 coming. You might. But if you really for sure want to enroll 5 or maybe 10, then those numbers they're not crazy. They're a good hard hustle and focus, but they're not crazy numbers. You're going to have to say, okay, I need to be filling my calendar with lots of these opportunities in. I need to be finding the people is the first step. That means going through your Facebook friends list, going through your phone contacts, going through your old email contacts. You can go into Google and Yahoo and go through contacts and go, oh, I totally forgot about my 12th grade English teacher. I still have her email, and man, I wonder how she's doing, and start a conversation. So the first step is getting your list of people, keeping track of it, put it in a notebook or Funnel Your Focus or whatever your system is. Get a notebook, start writing down all the names of people that you've started all the conversations with, and then move all those people into some kind of an opportunity to share Young Living with them. They don't all have to come to a class. They don't all have to sit with you at Starbucks. They don't all have to go to a Facebook event. They don't all have to do a call-in class. But if you offer multiple things, and some of them might just be sitting one-on-one, some of them might be a phone call to some friend in California. Some of them, and if you're in California, then New York. Some of them might be, sitting down with, your aunt whenever you go to visit there next month, or whatever the case may be. The point is that if you want this to be, Mindy said, yeah, I agree. Funnel Your Focus is totally worth the organizational piece. Oh gosh, I always lose my light. Sorry. Funnel Your Focus is a good organizational tool. If you don't have it, please let me know. I will figure out how to get you one at a price that you can stomach, because they're not that expensive, but it's probably like 10 or 12 bucks after the time you ship it. They ship from Kansas City, so I don't know how much shipping is, but here's the thing. I don't really care what you keep track of, but you got to keep track of those people. Because if you're starting 100 conversations, there's a good chance you're going to lose track of 98 of them in 3 days. And you're going to be like, who was I messaging? So keep track of them, whatever that looks like for you. The other thing is that once you've got your list of people, and then you create as many opportunities as you can to get audience with as many of those people as you can. And some of it is going to be, if you're just now kind of getting geared up and you're like the horse on the Kentucky Derby that's like pounding and like open this gate and I'm just ready to go, and you're kind of waiting for like, what do I need to do first? This first month, you might get some of the enrollments, but you might be starting 100 conversations that might not all lead to actually presenting the Young Living message yet. Because some of those moms I got together with for weeks before FOR, for several weeks before they were ready to really hear about Young Living. And so don't feel like just because you start a conversation with someone that it has to be Young Living out the gate. Sometimes it's just reconnecting. And how are you doing, 12th grade teacher? You know, are you still teaching? You know, just how are you? Like, I just came across your email and I wanted to reach out and see how you are and start the conversation up with you again. And sometimes I feel comfortable coming right out and saying, hey, I am doing this awesome thing with Young Living essential oils now. Have you ever been interested in using essential oils? I want to be your go-to person. Sometimes I feel comfortable right out of the gate of saying that. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just read the situation or the relationship or whatever, and I'm like, you know, I just kind of want to like ease into this a little bit more, and that's going to be up to you. And you might learn a way and method that works for you, or a few different methods that you go between. Sometimes I've done that and people never respond to me, and I'm like, guess that didn't work. Go to the next person. Go to the next person. It's all about stats, okay? The last thing that I want to say about that is that there is an element of staying consistent that's going to be important. And that is that if you're just starting those conversations and you're like, get to the end of the month and you're like, Jordan, I started, oh, P.S., your goal should be to start 100 conversations so that you can shoot for trying to get close to that 10 number. That should be your goal, is to start 100 conversations. Not all of them are going to lead to it. But statistically speaking, those 10 people will enroll over the next several months as you present Young Living with them. And that's a good, healthy pace. But the other thing is that if you're just getting started, remember that when you start conversations, you're starting to plant seeds. And in every season, in every reality of life, you don't gain a harvest the same month that you plant the seeds. Every single reality in the world is you plant the seeds and then you tend to it on a consistent basis where the weeds don't overgrow it and it doesn't go drought and get dry, and it gets a healthy amount of whatever it needs for a season. And then you start to reap the big harvest. Now, I'm not just saying, I don't want to say that you're not going to get some enrollments this month. I think you will. I know you will, if you're consistent, because some people are just low hanging fruit. They already want what this is. They already want what this is. They're just kind of ready to sign up. So some people are going to be like that, but don't get discouraged by the ones that aren't, because then guess what? You keep doing that, and next month you continue watering, and then you start another 100, and now you've got 200 that you're watering. Some of those ones from this month are going to enroll next month, and the next month you start another maybe 200 or 100 or 50 even. So now you've got a couple hundred people that you're in transition with somewhere. You better believe that there's going to come a point here in a couple months that you're going to get better at what you're doing. You're going to create more opportunities. You're going to start to gain some momentum, and some of that stuff's going to start coming to fruition. It's going to require consistency from you. And remember what I said at the beginning of this call. I'm going to bring my best to you. When I'm here, I'm going to give you everything that's in my heart, every good thing, every good idea. I withhold nothing from you as far as tips and ideas and any resource or whatever. But when you come to your business, you're going to have to bring it. You need to bring your A game. and maybe your A game to you doesn't even feel that great, but listen, bring it. Bring all you've got. You'll get better as you go. Nobody starts as an expert in any field. Nobody starts as an expert. Just try, just move, just go. All right. Does anybody have any quick questions before we hop off here? I know we're about 2 minutes over our hour mark or so. Maybe we're right at the hour mark. Does anybody have questions? Unmute yourself, or even better, you can put them in the comments. I do see the comments even here on my phone. So please, if you have questions about enrolling, you're welcome, Miss Trish. If you have questions about enrolling, you're welcome, Perry. I missed you last weekend, Perry. Sorry you didn't get to be there in New York with us. Any questions? I'm scrolling through looking at all of you beautiful faces. Thoughts, questions? If you want to unmute, you're welcome to. Okay, good. It doesn't sound like anyone has questions. So here's where we'll go from this. What I want to encourage you to do tonight, if it's not too late where you are, or first thing tomorrow during your work time tomorrow, if you haven't yet time blocked, please do that now. Favorite personal
Jordan?
book? Yeah.
Someone said in the chat, how do you keep up with 300 conversations at once?
That's a great question. There is a certain, okay. Yeah. Yep. I'll be right up. I need like 3 more minutes, okay? All right, go on out. Okay, it really will be like 3 or 4 minutes. Go sit with Nathan for a minute. Shut the door. Sorry. So that's a really good question. A couple of things. Number one is that not everyone that you've started a conversation with is going to really engage in a full conversation with you. So if you start 100 conversations, there's a good chance that 50% of those people might kind of be like, yeah, hey, how are you? And either they don't check Facebook very often, or their phone, or they are just disinterested, or it's a busy season of their life, or they don't want to be your friend again since high school, or what. And that's not even on you. That's just where the season of life they may be in. Those things. The other thing is that I've got a list here. Okay. So for me, in my prospects list, which I use Funnel Your Focus for my prospects list, and I wrote that book for myself and then just happened to publish it for my team. That's the only reason it got published. But that prospects list helps me to keep track of where I am with each person. Some people that I add to that prospects list don't respond to me. So after a year, if I'm still not, hearing back, and I've messaged them 3 or 4 times, or maybe not even a year, maybe a few months, if they're not responding, I'm just going to mark them off, because I'm not going to keep like bugging people if they're just not engaging. Right. The other thing is that I've got them on my list. I know where they are. I know what's going on with them, as far as like how well are they responding to me and that sort of thing. And then the other thing is that if I am committing my work time to doing real income producing activities, I could spend an hour, 2 hours during my work time just following up with prospects. And that would be a very good use of my time. That would be a very, very good use of my time. The other thing I might do for the last 15 minutes of that 2 hours of prospecting is jump on there and create a Facebook event that increases them or increases a chance for me to get an opportunity in front of them. This piece that I can also control, and just go through and say, hey, I'm going to do a Facebook. I'm hosting a Facebook event to just a couple of posts to kind of learn the basics of essential oils. You're welcome to come. And yes, personal messaging does disrupt the algorithm in a way that gets your posts in their newsfeed. So they'll see what you post on your timeline and things like that as well. But if I've had those conversations kind of kicking that can down the field a little bit to keep those conversations going, it's going to be time for me to say, hey, you want to learn about Young Living and you want to learn about essential oils and how to use them, like natural remedies. A lot of times I say it's essential oils, not Young Living, because people are more aware of what essential oils are than they are what Young Living is. And then I just, Diamond Workbook, it is BethanyShipley.com, I think. I need to ask her. But I think it's BethanyShipley.com is where you can get that. But essentially, you know, I've got to, I do too, but Perry, I use that sometimes too. I have to get those people in front of the Young Living message, because here's why. If I just keep those conversations moving and I don't ever plug them into something, then I'm just doing conversations to have conversations. The point is to get them plugged into something. And then hopefully I'm starting to mark people off of my prospects list because they're enrolling. And now they become part of the, you know, my team and my downline and the organization and the methods that I take care of my downline, which is a different structure entirely than what we talked about tonight. And so that's important, you know. And the other thing is there's going to be a season where you just have a lot of conversations going. That's going to be a part of that. And so just expect that to happen, because, you know, if you're wanting to get some real growth, you've got to have enrollments, and to get enrollments, you've got to have you, the person, and the opportunity for them to hear about Young Living, that connection piece. And the more people you have here, the higher chances you're going to have of actually getting a lot of those people enrolled. And that's going to be a huge boost to your business. It doesn't don't feel like you're a failure if you only have 10 conversations going. It doesn't have to be 100 people, but my first recommendation to you is to really get a jump start on getting some conversations, and to give yourself something to really work towards is do come up with a list of 100 people. And do start conversations with those 100 people. And if you don't want to add another 100 next month, don't. Just do that 100. But be aware that some people take some seasoning, and if you don't get any new conversations started, once you kind of have worked your way through this first 100 of yes and no's and maybes, then you haven't got anyone else in your pipeline to kind of do the next round. And sometimes it's nice to be adding in new people as you go. I only a couple of times started with 100. A lot of times I just have like a constant like influx of 8 to 10 new conversations every week or two, and that works for me. But definitely you've got to get something kind of launched and started, which is why I say if you're kind of that horse that's at the gate like the Kentucky Derby and you're ready to go, that 100 mark is a good number for you, because it'll just get the right amount of conversations started to kind of start to get some traction and momentum. And then it's up to you to figure out where to plug them in and what to plug them into. That didn't make sense. What to plug them into. Okay, guys. Good question. Someone had asked me a question and then Calvary came in. It was something about personal development book or something like that, I think. I think I have a list somewhere in Lionheart of my favorite personal development books. I'll try to find and bump to the top. And if not, I will post something because I get that question twice or 3 times a week. So anyway, remember, yep, Dawn, you're welcome. Dawn said, eat the elephant one bite at a time. It's exactly right. It's exactly right. You want to get your oils paid for and hit Senior Star or Executive and get your oils paid for? One person at a time, one bite at a time, one oil using story at a time, every single day. Just stay consistent, stay the course. All right, guys, I'm going to hop off here. I'm going to keep this video short as we can. God bless. I hope this helps you. Next week, we're going to jump into a second topic similar to tonight, where it's one specific topic focus. Please let anyone that is in your team that did not get to watch this video, please tag them. Now that I actually have not going to New York City tomorrow morning and not turning around and going to a marriage conference on Sunday, I will post this probably tonight, if not first thing tomorrow, so that you have a little more time to lead up to next week. And then we're going to organize these so all the Zoom posts are in one post. So you don't have to always search around for them and let your people watch. Please encourage your team to watch these and get some insight, or you're welcome to disseminate the information down to them however you'd like to. All right, guys, God bless. Have a great night. We will touch base soon. I hope you can watch this from the beginning. But if you're just tuning in, watch from the beginning, and I'll see you guys later. Have a great week. Bye.